I am beyond excited to be doing this video right now. Hi, Shanna Rowe Jackson here, also known as Caution Artist at Play, and today I am super stoked to announce that I am a part of the largest YouTube artist collaboration to date. 50 artists from all over the world are getting together to create this book. 3. Get it? Create this book 3. If you're not familiar with these books, they are prompt books designed by Mariah Elizabeth, none other than the Queen herself, for artists to get inspired by. And Di, the Aussie crafter, she got extra inspired, okay? She decided it would be good to send this book all over the world and have a bunch of different artists fill it. And that's what we're doing today. I am doing my part. Each of us artists gets 2 prompts. One that the artist before us chooses for us, which that can get pretty interesting, and then one that we get to choose ourselves. Today, I am going to be starting off with a prompt that Kara from Anchored Art Designs chose for me, and that is create gold. Draw golden objects of all shapes and sizes. And let me tell you, Kara from Anchored Art Designs, she gets me. She sent me some taffy and, delicious. I will link her channel in the description below so that you can become familiar with it. If you aren't already, super talented, super amazing, you're gonna love it. I think I'm gonna grab my colored pencils. I'm going to be going around the house and the studio and grabbing golden objects, and I'm gonna see what I can do. But before I do that, I have some very important business that I need to attend to. We each have some instructions that we need to abide by, so I'm going to do that next. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to put my mark on the map. Di included this map so each of us artists could put a mark on it to show where we are from. I am in the state of Maine in the United States, so just about right there. And at the end of this project, we're going to have a really cool map showing where we are all from. And now I am going to put my name on the cover page with the other artists who have come before me. I have a feeling this page is going to get really full by the end of it as well. So I'm putting my name down. And then I will also be putting my YouTube handle down there since it is different than my name. So here I am, Shanna Rowe Jackson, Caution Artist at Play. Oh, so happy to be here. Now that I have my place on the map and I have signed the book, I am going to draw some gold. Okay, so jumping into the prompt that Kara gave me, I am going to be filling this page with gold. Well, okay. I'm not going to be filling it with gold, but I'm going to come as close as I possibly can with the items I have on hand. Basically, I just went around the house and the studio and found some fun gold items that I wanted to draw, and I'm putting them all together on this page. I had originally tried to take some reference photos and get the composition worked out ahead of time, but I didn't really like any of the photos I took, and I didn't want to work from a reference photo online. I wanted it to be kind of unique to me. I wanted it to be items that I owned. And so here we are. I've just put the items on my desk and I have been drawing them from life. Now, because of that, some of the perspective is going to be a little bit wonky, okay? Like, it's not going to be perfect. As I move, the angle of what I'm looking at moves. And I'm human, so I move. So it's not perfect. I am using a Pilot Eno colored mechanical pencil to draw these out. I'm using the color orange, and I'm working on a Canson Me Tints paper because it's a nice little earthy yellow. I thought it'd be a great backdrop for gold, and that way there I can leave a lot of the background blank if I need to, and it'll still have that gold color. And I also thought it would be a great paper because it handles colored pencil really well, but it's not very thick, so it's not going to add a lot of bulk to the book. I am using various colored pencils. I have my Holbeins, I have some Prismacolors, some Polychromos, some Derwent Lightfast. I even brought in some of my metallic pencils. So a lot of these darker details you're seeing right now is me using actual metallic pencils. I don't get to use my metallic pencils very often because there's not a lot of pieces that they really work for. I do a lot of realism and a lot of nature, and when am I going to need metallic gold for that? So I was really excited to bring them in and work with them. I'm actually working with a lot of colors here. As I mentioned, I went and grabbed a bunch of pencils from my pencil drawers, and I am working with golds and yellows and oranges and browns, because when light hits a golden object, there's going to be all different kinds of colors depending on what's reflecting on it from around it in the room, where the light is, what color the lighting is. So when you are painting or drawing something that is metallic or shiny, keep in mind all the colors that are around it as well. Each of these items isn't even the same kind of gold. They have different tonal values just to begin with as a base. So I had to keep that in mind as well. I also brought in some purples for shading as well, especially for the shadow areas, because purple is opposite yellow on the color wheel. It works really well to create some natural looking shadows on golden items. And so you'll see that as well. I wanted to keep my shadows warm because gold is so warm. And so I chose warmer purples to do this with, and it worked out fantastically. There's one wonky little ring down there. I had so much fun with this. So let's talk a little bit about each of the items. The giraffe is actually a pin that I have because I love giraffes. They are one of my all-time favorite animals. And at one point, somebody gave me that pin because they knew I love giraffes. And it's something that I've always had. And then I have a golden ring, and I think that one was just costume jewelry, but I thought it would be fun to throw in there. Some jingle bells, because those are just super fun to draw to begin with, and they're probably one of the shinier objects in this grouping. Some of these things are really tarnished. They're older, they're not actually made from real gold, so they're not keeping their shine all that well to begin with. So that was something that I actually found more challenging. I was super excited to get this prompt because I wanted to draw really shiny things, and one of the funnest parts about seeing metallic drawings online is how reflective they are. A lot of these items are not that reflective. And I mean, I'm working with what I got here. And so the jingle bells were definitely more reflective than some of the other items. Each of these items also has like a different texture to it. Some of them are more smooth than others. Some of them have details that are imprinted into them. And so that kind of changes the way they reflect light and objects around them as well. I had fun with these different size chains and different styles of chains. And this one was interesting because the chain I had actually was a double chain, but it didn't come across that way. So I ended up changing it up a little bit to just make it look more like a solid chain. I'm not as concerned with everything being exact. I just wanted to have fun with this and create some gold items. Now for the big enchilada, the magic lamp. Now, I know she's wonky. This is one of those situations that anytime I moved, like the angle changed, it was a little bit difficult. She's wonky. But you know what? She's magical. She's golden. She's living her best life here. All right. She's just trying to be her magical self. So let's not judge her. Okay. The details were a blast though. They were an absolute blast. And I had a ton of fun going in with my metallic pencils to draw out those details first and then coming in to shade them. It ended up being a little bit interesting, but I do like the way it came out. And I'm focusing on the abstract shapes that I see reflecting in the side of the lamp to try and get that fun glare look. Again, this is something that was not real gold. I got her from a gift shop in Salem, all right? Like, she's not some treasure that just came out of some old magical cave or anything. It's a souvenir. It's not real gold, so it's a little bit tarnished. It was not as shiny as I would have liked, and I kind of had to make some of that up a little bit. I wanted all these items to feel like they had a glow to them, and I just wanted them to be extra warm and just that fun, sunshiny feeling. And so I tried to infuse as much of that in these as possible. And I think I achieved that. And I came in with a lot of lighter yellows for the highlights. But later on, you're going to see me come in with some touch-up texture titanium white mixture by brush and pencil. Basically, it is a white powder that is mixed with a liquid that is used to create texture. And It works really well for highlights on colored pencil. It's archival. It's made to be used with colored pencil. So you'll see me come in with that later on for higher highlights as well, as opposed to something like a gel pen, which can chip off over time. I love this little locket. I had so much fun with this part too. I don't know what happened to the original chain of the locket, but I kind of like that it's just laying there on its lonesome. It gives it a little bit of mystery, like whose locket was this? What happened to the chain? Did some old lady ghost woman own it and now it's haunted? We don't know. All right, but she's just happy to be part of the piece. And then this bracelet was a lot of fun as well because there were these little fake diamonds in it and it was fun to draw those out, and I thought it gave it a little bit of a fun contrast instead of everything just being gold, to have a little bit of other bling in there as well. And of course, working on more of my little jingle bells. Those were so much fun. I want to do some sort of Christmas piece now dealing with gold. And now I am really adding the bling. I brought in this fun pen. It's a metallic gold pen and stinks to the high heavens. It smells so bad, but it adds some bling. And I will link all of the materials that I'm using in the description below in case you're curious about anything you see in this video. And then I also I'm adding details on each of the items, but then I will be going around and adding some little polka dots around the rest of the page just to fill the page a little bit more, bring it together, and add that extra pizzazz. Look at that, folks. She's blinging, she's shining, she is fantastic. Well, okay, not necessarily fantastic, but I'm pretty happy with how it came out, and I love that glare from that pen. How fun is that? Now that my gold is done, I need to cut it. And I am going to be using some acid-free double-sided tape to adhere it to the pages because all my glue sticks are dried out, but this is really strong tape, so I think it's going to work just fine. So I put the first side in, and it got a little bit wonky and wrinkled, but I straightened it out. And then I'm coming in with my second side, and I'm going to trace around the prompt so I can cut that area. I left that intentionally blank so I could have my prompt showing through from the page. Taping that down, and then I'm going to embellish the prompt itself with a gold marker to get it kind of glitzy like the rest of the page and make it match more. That was such a fun challenge. Thanks again so much, Kara. I had a great time with that. Now I'm going to be moving on to my prompt. Can any of you who are familiar with this book but also familiar with me guess what prompt I chose? Create clouds. Look out your window and draw the clouds you see. Now, I'm not going to be drawing this one. I'm going to be pulling out my acrylics because I absolutely love painting clouds with acrylics. And if y'all know me, you know that I am a cloud sky gazer woman artist. Skies are one of my biggest inspirations. And when I saw that this was one of the prompts, I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to jump on that one. I got to do it. And so that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so jumping into my next prompt, my chosen prompt, clouds. I can't help myself. I love my skies. And basically, I am just working on a mixed media paper. Normally, I would work on a thicker paper than this, but I don't want to add too much bulk to the book. So I'm working on the 400 series mixed media paper. It's a little bit thicker than I really wanted to put in the book to begin with, but I needed something sturdy because I knew I was going to be using acrylics. I love painting skies with acrylics. I love painting skies with anything. I love drawing skies. I love painting skies. It is what it is. But I hadn't worked with my acrylics in a while, and I just knew that this would be the perfect medium for this. And I grabbed various acrylics. I have some Holbein. I have some System 3 by Daler Rowney and some Golden. I just grabbed the colors that I wanted and went to town. Now, I am working from a reference photo that I took in my backyard because on the day that I was working on this prompt, it was cloudy and crappy out. And so while the prompt was to technically look out your window, this picture is from my backyard, which is the view that I have from my studio window. So I feel like it works because I did not want to paint an overcast day where the whole sky was pretty much white. Like the sky that day, you couldn't even see discernible clouds. It was not fun. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do my white puffy clouds in a pretty blue sky because that's the kind of mood I'm in, and that's my favorite kind of sky to do. This one was much quicker than my first one. My first one took me around 3 hours to do because of all the detail and the fact that it was colored pencil. Paint is a lot quicker to work with, and I'm way more familiar with this subject. So this one took me about an hour. And honestly, I gotta tell you, this is my second take. I had the whole background laid in and realized that in my excitement, I didn't hit record. So now I have a base for another painting, I guess, that I can use later on. I was so mad. So that's why you can kind of probably tell in the beginning that some of my paints had already been dipped into and my brushes were already dirty. I was like, oh, but I didn't let it discourage me too much. I just kept moving. And this piece is actually a 9x12, and I'm going to cut it down later on. Now, the way I had it taped off, I thought I had it measured correctly. I did not. So when I pulled the tape, in order to cut the edges off, it would have been too small once all the edges were off. But I did find a fun and inspirational way to kind of combat that. And I think it added to the painting itself a little bit. So I'll show you that later on. Now, basically, I am just working on my puffy clouds. I'm working in layers. I'm throwing my shadows in. I'm using a lot of the sky color for the shadows. And then I'm getting progressively brighter and brighter with my white. So I'm using my acrylic inks and thinning them out for some of the lower layers where I want more of the sky to peek through. And then I'm coming in with my medium-bodied paint over the top to get it to be more of a solid white in the highest of the highlights. That's really the trick to it, is layering, blending, and knowing when to leave things a little bit wispy and knowing when to make things more solid. And you'll see me coming in with a rag occasionally to wipe things out to get some more of that sky background through. But I love this so much. It makes me feel like I'm laying on my lawn and just cloud gazing, and it brings me back to summer days, which we're getting there. It's starting to be like this here in Maine now, and I just love it. I love this kind of weather. I love these kinds of skies. It makes my heart happy. This one was just so much fun. I can't even. Not that I didn't run into my struggles. The painting part was really fun, but there was a few struggles. Like I said, I started it without even recording, and I'm like, I can't just paint clouds on this blue without showing you me painting the blue. I don't know. Like, I was so, and then the cropping. But the painting itself, I'm pretty happy with how it came out, especially for such a quick painting. It really, worked up so well because I was just so inspired. And it's nice to whip out the acrylics again. Acrylics don't tend to be all that popular on my channel, but honestly, acrylics were like my first love. I started with watercolor when I was a kid, but around my teen years, I discovered acrylics, and I worked with them for years and years, and then I discovered colored pencil. And y'all like it when I work with colored pencil. Okay, so I had to leave the bottom part attached because once I peeled the tape and then started to cut it down to size so I could fit it in the book, I realized if I cut that bottom off, it wasn't going to fit in the book. It was going to be too small for the book. So I'm like, you know what? This is a good opportunity to put like an inspirational quote or something, because this is in the beginning of the book, which nerved me up a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that this is going to be in the beginning of the book, but now that it's done and I'm proud of it, I'm not as upset. But I thought this would be a good time to leave an inspirational quote for whoever reads the book and for my fellow artists who are going to be after me in this little collaboration. I say little, this huge collaboration. And so I decided to use some of the sky colors in the bottom. Now, initially it was going to be the exact sky color, and I was going to put the quote in white gel pen. None of my gel pens work. They're all dead. I have to buy some more. So then I'm like, now I have to go darker. So then I had to lighten the strip. But the quote that I am putting is, "Only from the heart can you touch the sky," by Rumi. Now, there was another quote that I really loved that I thought about putting in, and that was, "The sky is not the limit, it's only the beginning," or something like that. But when I tried to find out who originally said it, There was like 2 different people that people kept saying said it, so I'm like, I'm not going to put that in there. But I figured a quote from Rumi would be pretty safe. And I'm not the best at hand lettering, but it's all right. It came out okay. I did a couple of scans of this image so that we could see it with and without the quote. And I don't know, I love it either way. I'm super happy with how it came out. Something else that I meant to mention is that I actually added some iridescent paint in with my white paint. It gives it just a little bit of shimmer. It's subtle, but it adds a little bit of magic, and I love it. So now let's get this cut so that we can put it in the book. So I decided to do things a little bit differently with this prompt than I did my first one. I didn't have the heart to cut this one where the prompt was, so I decided that I was going to trace over the prompt because I really love the way she wrote create clouds, and then I'm just going to transfer that tracing onto my artwork and go over it with some marker. So I just used some tracing paper and traced over it. Now I'm putting down my double-sided tape, and I'm adhering my artwork to the page, and then I'm going to do the other side as well, flattening it out because this is a little bit thicker. And then I am using some chalk pastel and scribbling it on the other side of my tracing, and then I'm putting it pastel side down so that when I trace over the writing, it transfers the pastel to my artwork in the shape of the letters, and then I'm just coming over it with my Pitt pen. And I used a dark blue so that it shows up well, but it still pretty much matches. And there is my prompt. Oh my gosh, you guys, this was so much fun. I really, really love the prompts that I had, and I had a fantastic time. I learned a thing or two, and I am just beyond honored to be a part of this collaboration. Now, if you don't want to miss a thing, make sure you check out the playlist that I have linked in the description below. It's going to grow and grow and grow as more and more artists contribute to this book. So that is your one-stop shop to make sure that you are up to date on this collaboration. Now, with all that out of the way, I'm sure you're wondering, who's next? I am going to hand this book off to somebody who is an artist in every sense of the word. Super talented, amazing, great personality, none other than Chuck Lee. Here you go, Chuck.
Woohoo! Package secured. Can't wait to show you guys what I do with this.